Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Glenn Schumach, and I'm Dean of the UIC College of Pharmacy. And I'd like to welcome you to this afternoon's special event, the investiture of Dr. Edith Nutescu as the Michael Reese Endowed Professor of Cardiovascular Pharmacotherapy. Before we start, I'd like to recognize some of the important participants in this afternoon's program. First, of course, is Edith Nutescu, our honored guest. I'd also like to welcome Dr. Nutescu's husband, Gabriel, and their daughter, Michelle, and other members of Edith's family. Next, our distinguished campus leaders, Provost and Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Dr. Susan Poser, and Vice Chancellor for Health Affairs, Dr. Robert Barish. And next, I'd like to extend a great appreciation in the attendance of the members of the board of the Michael Reese Research and Education Foundation who are with us today. These include Dr. William Chamberlain, Chairman of the board, Dr. William A. Clark, Executive Director, Dr. Denny Levinson, Vice Chairman, Dr. Enrique Beckman, Dr. Les Sandlow, Dr. Alan Schwartz, Dr. David Lieb, Dr. Arthur Moswin, Sandra Wilkes, and Eric Fish. Additionally, I'd like to acknowledge participation of the members of the leadership team of the UIC College of Pharmacy and also the faculty of the Department of Pharmacy Practice. Like myself, some of the faculty practice at Michael Reese Hospital, and as you will hear during this program, the UIC College of Pharmacy had a close connection with Michael Reese Hospital, even running the pharmacy department there for a time. We also have 3 Michael Reese Endowed professors who are in attendance today. I'd like to welcome Dr. Gail Prince, the Michael Reese Professor of Urology in the College of Medicine, Dr. Stephen Roth, the Michael Reese Professor of Anesthesiology in the College of Medicine, and Dr. Alan Schwartz, again, the Michael Reese Professor of Medical Education in the College of Medicine. Finally, I'd like to thank all the rest of you who are in attendance today. Each investment in our academic program, especially a professorship, is meaningful both for the college and for the faculty or individual. As a college, we have relatively few endowed professorships, which makes each one more significant. Similarly, becoming an endowed professor is one of the most noteworthy honors that a faculty member can achieve. It is a sign of appreciation and endorsement of the individual by the university. It is also a testament in our belief in the strong promise of future accomplishments. We are honored to be able to perform this investiture today. The Michael Reese Endowed Professorship in Cardiovascular Pharmacotherapy is very special to the UIC College of Pharmacy. It is a new professorship, but it is interwoven in a longer history that involves Michael Reese Hospital and the UIC College of Pharmacy. I'd like to play a short video that illustrates some of that history and promise. This video was created a few years ago before the professorship became a reality.
Michael Reese actually was maybe the first real job that I had.
The first 6 months of my postdoc training I spent there.
It was really my first practice.
I've completed several clinical rotations at Michael Reese.
The pharmacy department at Michael Reese was the strongest I've ever worked for.
Some of the research that came out of Michael Reese Hospital was incredible.
Especially when Jerry first came on board, the section was one of the best in the whole country on the cutting edge of cardiovascular research at that time.
At the time, I was doing a lot of research on cocaine, and we had conversations about how that may impact cardiac fibrosis.
And that legacy just has continued through the years.
You know, I'm really happy that they have preserved the Michael Reese name in the foundation, but also in the name professorships.
The Michael Reese Endowed Professorship in Cardiovascular Pharmacotherapy would really be a significant thing for the College of Pharmacy.
I think the endowed professorship will carry on that legacy.
You know, it has this incredible history and legacy, and it would be sad to think that it would maybe disappear someday. So these things let it go on forever, which is important.
So I hope that video gave you some insight into the interconnections between the UIC College of Pharmacy and Michael Reese Hospital. In the late 1980s, Michael Reese Hospital became the primary academic site for all of the UIC health sciences colleges. The College of Pharmacy was out front in this effort, taking over the operations of the hospital pharmacy department, transferring our clinical faculty and students there, and establishing a variety of new clinical pharmacy residencies and training programs. As you heard in the video, many of the current and past leaders of the college actually trained at Michael Reese Hospital. And this includes Dr. Nutescu, who trained at Michael Reese both when she was a pharmacy student and later as a pharmacy resident. That history makes the Michael Reese Endowed Professorship even more meaningful. The professorship's focus on cardiovascular pharmacotherapy is a nod to the great clinical and research programs that existed at Michael Reese in cardiovascular medicine, and also to the role of the UIC College of Pharmacy clinicians in that program. Indeed, the college has had much strength in that area over the years, led by our former dean, Jerry Bauman, who is also participating in this afternoon's event. However, ultimately, the professorship is not about the past, but rather about the future. In fact, the legacy of the Michael Reese Research and Education Foundation's incredible gift to the college will be the advances and the work performed by those faculty who are honored to hold this professorship title in the years to come. The research and scholarship in pharmacotherapy that will be enabled by the funds generated from this endowment will, without a doubt, improve the treatment of cardiovascular disease and improve health. The inaugural recipient of the Michael Reese Endowed Professor in Cardiovascular Pharmacotherapy is Dr. Edith Nutescu, and it is my honor to say a few words about her now. You have Dr. Nutescu's biosketch in the program that was sent to you. I won't read that, but rather I'll focus on a few attributes that I think make her the ideal recipient of this professorship. First is the most obvious. That is, Dr. Nutescu is among the top pharmacy scholars in cardiovascular pharmacotherapy, not just in the US, but worldwide. In particular, her expertise is in thromboembolic diseases. She's authored over 180 articles on this and related topic, and her book is used widely in the field. Further, her research in the area is funded by NIH, AHRQ, and other notable sponsors. Her expertise has landed Dr. Nutescu on editorial boards, national consensus committees, and in leadership positions in professional organizations. And she has received prestigious national awards for her scholarly contributions in the field. Truly, she is among the top scholars and thus perfectly suited for this professorship. Second, for me, Edith embodies what I think of in the legacy of Michael Reese Hospital. From its opening in 1880, Michael Reese served all people, from European immigrants in the early years to the largely African-American community when it closed. It did this while being driven to deliver the highest quality care and advanced medical research and education. A European immigrant herself, Dr. Nutescu is one of the few faculty that I know who is also truly a clinician, researcher, and educator. Edith's academic career started as a clinical track faculty member, and she worked her way from clinical assistant professor to clinical associate and finally clinical professor, cementing her reputation as an international expert along the way. She then did what is very rare. She reinvented herself as a researcher, getting a master's degree in clinical and translational sciences and then moving to the tenure track, where she again progressed through the ranks. And now a full professor and department head, her grit and determination in this process reminds me of the drive that kept Michael Reese going for over 100 years. I know that Dr. Nutescu will continue that forward motion in her work as a Michael Reese Endowed Professor of Cardiovascular Pharmacotherapy. And it is what I think makes her the ideal recipient of this professorship. I'd now like to introduce or welcome again Dr. Susan Poser to lead the investiture ceremony.
Good afternoon. I'm honored to participate in this momentous occasion and to have the opportunity to add my welcome to Dr. Nutescu and her family, as well as Dr. Chamberlain and other members of the Michael Reese Research and Education Foundation Board. Thank you for this professorship and for your investment and your trust in UIC's outstanding College of Pharmacy. I cannot think of a better person to receive this professorship than Edith Nutescu. I only recently got to know Edith because last January, she joined the administrative leadership program that I run at UIC. This is a one-year program to provide mentorship and professional development to senior faculty who are new to academic administration or are considering it. I also participate in the program as a mentor. And without previously knowing Edith, I chose to be her mentor because of her interesting background and, as Dean Schumacher so accurately said, her determination, which has led to great success and international prominence in her field. I also believed I could probably learn a thing or two from her. And I very much enjoyed getting to know her. Although we ended the program with the pandemic, we are going to start it up again in January, and we will continue our friendship and continue to have our conversations. But for now, I just want to congratulate Dr. Nutescu and thank you, Edith, for all you have done and will continue to do as a researcher, clinician, professor, and department head at UIC. We are lucky to have you and to be able to honor you today with this professorship. So now we will proceed to invest Dr. Nutescu. Dean Schumacher and Dr. Nutescu, please approach the podium. Dean Schumacher, will you place the medal over Dr. Nutescu's head? And by the power and authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of Illinois, I'm proud to recognize Dr. Edith Nutescu as the recipient of the Michael Reese Endowed Professor of Cardiovascular Pharmacotherapy. Dr. Nutescu, I welcome you to the podium to make remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Poser and Dr. Schumacher. I am deeply honored and humbled by this incredible recognition. I hope to live up to it. Thank you to the Michael Reese Research and Education Foundation for your generous support and for honoring our work in cardiovascular pharmacotherapy. I take this recognition as an honor of our line of work and as an affirmation of clinical science that makes a difference. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death for men, women, and people of most racial and ethnic groups in the United States. One person dies every 37 seconds in the US from cardiovascular disease, which is 1 in every 4 deaths annually. And the economic burden of the disease amounts to over $200 billion annually. Personalized and tailored pharmacotherapy approaches, along with personalized models of care, are at the core of combating this disease and have comprised the focus of our work for over 2 decades. With this endowment, I'm thrilled about the opportunity to continue our research and practice innovations in the area of cardiovascular pharmacotherapy. Specifically, this support will allow us to continue our dissemination and implementation work of patient-centered self-care and personalized care models in patients with access barriers to high-quality healthcare and those at high risk of complications due to their antithrombotic therapies. In addition, I'm also looking forward to continue mentoring and working with the new generations of talented and driven trainees and junior scientists at UIC. This endowed professorship is especially meaningful because it enhances our ability to continue the legacy of Michael Reese Hospital, a hospital where I trained as a pharmacy student and as a resident, and where I took my first overnight call and responded to my first code and cared for those in need. While this achievement has my name on it, it should indeed have many more names listed. all those that helped me along the way and contributed to my success. My mentors, my collaborators, my laboratory team members, and many of my trainees throughout the years. The names are too many to list, but you know who you are, and many of you are here with us today, either in the room or virtually. And for that, I am deeply grateful. I would especially like to recognize my family, my significant other Gabriel, and our daughter Michelle for joining us by Zoom today. A simple thank you is not enough for your unwavering support and love, and for putting up with the demands of my work and my work hours. I love you both so much. My sister Toni and her spouse Ellen, who are also joining us virtually from California, thank you for being there for me. My mom, who can't be here today, and my father, who I know is looking down, and I know both would be very proud. In closing, thank you again for your recognition, support, and this great opportunity. To our benefactor, the Michael Reese Research and Education Foundation, in providing this support, you become our partner, part and parcel, in our scientific efforts to improve the care and outcomes of those afflicted by cardiovascular disease. Your confidence inspires us, and your generosity propels us forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nutescu. It's now my pleasure to ask Dr. Robert Barish to make remarks on the importance of partnerships, such as the one that we enjoy with the Michael Reese Research and Education Foundation. Dr. Barish.
Thank you, Glenn. Good afternoon to all, and welcome to this momentous celebration that both recognizes the career and achievements of Dr. Nutescu and the continued generosity of the Michael Reese Research and Education Foundation. Today, we've heard much about the storied relationship between Michael Reese and UIC. And by the way, I love the video. And this installation of Dr. Nutescu as an additional Michael Reese professor at UIC is another chapter to add into this outstanding partnership. In recent years, members of the Michael Reese Research and Education Foundation Board have generously established 4 other professorships in the College of Medicine. All of these professorships significantly support our commitment to translate the newest research and knowledge to our patients and communities to support their health and wellness. As I've gotten to know more about the history and relationship between Michael Reese and UIC, and I thank Dr. Chamberlain for that, I've developed a deep appreciation for how our academic health enterprise, UI Health, reflects the tradition of community service that lives through the Michael Reese Foundation. The legacy of Michael Reese Hospital will continue on through each of these professorships and certainly supports future discovery and treatment to benefit communities locally and across the world. As UI Health continues to pursue health equity, it's incredibly valuable to have the support and trust of such a revered Chicago institution. So without a doubt, Dr. Nutescu will join the illustrious rank of other Michael Reese professors at UIC who are dedicated to making a difference in the lives of our patients near and far. We deeply appreciate the continued investment and generosity of the Michael Reese Research and Education Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Barish. So our final speaker is Dr. Bill Chamberlain, who will say a few words on behalf of the Michael Reese Research and Education Foundation. Most of you know Dr. Chamberlain. He is currently chairman of the board of the Michael Reese Research and Education Foundation, but until his retirement last year, Bill was an important figure at UIC, having served as the chief medical officer for many years and later chief compliance officer for UI Health. Before UIC, Dr. Chamberlain was chief of medicine at Michael Reese Hospital. But before I let Bill speak, I'd like to present to the Michael Reese Research and Education Foundation this shadow box wall hanging of the professorship medallion. So on behalf of the UIC College of Pharmacy, Bill, please accept this as a thank you for you and your fellow board members.
Glenn, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Provost Poser, Vice Chancellor Barish, Dean Schumach, Dean Bauman, and members of the Michael Reese Board. Thank you for the opportunity to congratulate Dr. Nutescu on her distinguished career and her investiture as the Michael Reese Endowed Professor of Cardiovascular Pharmacotherapy in this illustrious College of Pharmacy. She is a remarkable academic, and speaking for the Michael Reese Board, we are delighted with the college's choice. The college has done a fine job reviewing the relationship between UIC and Michael Reese. I really don't need to go further. As the dean indicated, our foundation prides itself on continuing the tripartite mission of Reese, which has been shown to be so important to the care of patients and the training of young healthcare professionals. The foundation was formed when Reese needed a mechanism to continue its research programs, which had been imperiled by this hospital sale to a for-profit entity. Next year, we celebrate our 30th anniversary, providing care to underserved populations, promoting research and supporting minority education for programs in the Chicagoland area. In 1991, the College of Pharmacy, unlike, I will say, its medical colleagues, embraced the new relationship with Michael Reese during the ill-fated merger attempt. As you have seen in the video, we worked together closely to consolidate and improve care at the hospital, proceeding even after the merger failed. The Reese physicians on our foundation board remembered those interactions fondly when it came time to consider this professorship. You can be assured that this college's impact has been felt nationwide, as I have to note that my experience with the College of Pharmacy started considerably earlier than those events that have been recently mentioned. And it started not in Chicago. After a residency program, I joined the faculty at the Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas in 1977. As a young intensive care doc in the early days of ICUs, I came to meet a fellow by the name of Winston Lee. Turned out he was a recent graduate of the UIC College of Pharmacy and had attended and completed its pharmacy practice residency, which was one of the first of its kind in the United States. I believe Dean Bauman was an early graduate of that program as well. Winston and I collaborated and we introduced and incorporated his special skills into daily rounds. So we had pharmacy rounding with us in the college program in the mid-70s, better than 40 years ago. This college has been innovative and open since its inception. And speaking for the foundation, we are indeed happy to recognize your contributions in our long and meaningful association. Once again, congratulations to Dr. Nutescu. Welcome to the Michael Reese family, and thank you all very much.
Thank you, Dr. Poser, Dr. Barish, and Dr. Chamberlain for your presentations during this ceremony. And thank you to everybody for attending this special celebration. Congratulations once again to Dr. Nutescu, the inaugural Michael Reese Endowed Professor of Cardiovascular Pharmacotherapy. I know that Edith will be a great role model for all of the endowed professors that will hold this same title in the years to come. Most importantly, I'd like to thank the Michael Reese Research and Education Foundation for making this possible. This professorship will exist indefinitely, and in doing so have an everlasting impact. An impact on the UIC College of Pharmacy by helping us retain and recruit the best and brightest in the field, and an impact on patients and society through the work done by the Michael Reese professors. This professorship will enable the development of new approaches to treatment and novel therapies for patients with cardiovascular diseases, and it will further the education and training of promising young pharmacists who will practice in this area. So this concludes our program. Appreciate your attendance at this investiture, and good evening.